want to ask you a question, Duane. I think this is really interesting on this one. When did you realize that you had a problem? When did you realize that your addiction was a problem?
You know, I love talking about myself, Jake. Anytime people start asking me questions about myself in front of a microphone, did you know?
Yeah, it's like,
I just love it.
Yeah. Like it really
Pretty-
dawned on you.
yeah.
Like, woke up like, I have a fucking problem.
You know, pretty early on. Really,
Early on
to
in
be
your addiction?
honest, pretty early on. There is obviously a progression to every addiction. The first time I tried alcohol, I was sneaking a beer in my grandmother's closet. So I hid this Bud Light in the closet, and I would go get some bubbles and then run back to the family. And then I would go back to the closet. And I knew that was a weird thing to do at 12 years old. It didn't feel right. However, my drinking really started when I was 14. And the first time that I really tried to drink, I was 14. I was a freshman in high school, and I started playing varsity football. And they said, oh, well, you know, you're playing with the big boys now. You can come party with the big boys. So I went to a senior party.
Oh, shit,
the
at 14.
first week of football as a freshman, 14.
And then you got introduced to
I got introduced
getting
to
drunk or buzzed?
to Corona and chewing tobacco.
Ooh.
And I did both at the same time for the first time. And I had a blast. And I vomited. And then I made out with some girl. And I couldn't wait to do it again. But that really was the highlight of my entire drinking career. It never got prettier than that for me. That was the prettiest my drinking ever got.
That was the best night.
Vomiting, making out with someone who didn't want to really make out with me that much.
Yeah.
Getting picked up by my mom. And that, you know, I knew that probably wasn't a normal way to drink, but I couldn't wait.
Did you realize then
again.
that it was kind of like a problem? Or was
No.
So then you were just kind of
continued
like, oh,
down
you get
that
drunk
path.
and you
Yeah.
can.
Well, really, in the beginning, it was I had arrived. It was like, oh my God, this is what I've
life's
fucking
about.
been looking for.
Yeah.
Yes. I
You're
feel
like 14,
so good.
of course.
It's like electric, and I'm a part of. I finally was included in life, and I became a part of. And I did not know that was my desire all along. I did not know that I was seeking to feel connection. And basically, early, the alcohol allowed my thinking mind to go away. So I was very present, and it became a higher power for me. It was very quickly after that first Corona dip episode, it became, how do we do this every weekend?
Yeah, and then I need to get drunk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every weekend.
It's not enjoy a buzz. I never tried to get a buzz. My goal was always to get wasted.
Yeah. It's like, did you like the feeling?
Yeah. I love the feeling produced by alcohol.
So, like, was it, obviously, you go through high school, you're fucking doing all that. When do you feel like you really started being like, oh shit, I'm not normal. I'm an alcoholic. I'm not, maybe you didn't call it an alcoholic, but I don't handle my alcohol like other people do.
Yeah. I would say, you know, it did not take long to start suffering consequences from my drinking.
Did you feel like it was a problem, or did you feel like, oh, I kind of did a little too much. Next time I won't do as much. Were you cutting deals with yourself? Like, or did you be like, fuck, I have a problem, but I don't care. I'll still do more.
Bro, it was like a badge of honor. It was like, I'm an alcoholic. This is bad. Fuck yeah, I am. I'm gonna drink like an alcoholic.
But you were in your early 20s, so.
You know, in high school, there was a point where I was on my dad's couch and I was eating Rice Krispies, Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal, and I was high and I was drunk, and I poured the whole box of cereal into this big bowl with a bunch of milk, and I was like, this is fucking fantastic. And I knew that I was blowing off the studying and homework that I needed to do in order to pass the class the next day. And there was a little glimmer of, hey, you're fucking up. Then, and I was 17 at that point, so I'd already been drinking, partying for 3 years. And I knew that I had a problem. I knew that the Cinnamon Toast Crunch was more of a priority to me than what I should be doing as a high school student.
Yeah, in food addiction, that would be the same way. I know I should not be, because I'm addicted to food. So it's like, I know I shouldn't be eating these Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but they taste so amazing and it's so perfect. I'm going to go get another bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And then eventually half the box is gone. That's what it turns into. And then, I've had 3 bowls, and then all that sugar and all the carbs, and it's just pure like wheat flour or something.
Yeah.
It's like the same way with donuts, Krispy Kreme. I can eat 12.
One
just
bite.
like that. Yeah. There's just a part of me that feels like I'm a slave to that, and I can't resist it.
And
I have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can pretty quickly, like with food addiction, not so dramatic, you just gain weight, and kill yourself. But
yeah, you
so
slowly kill yourself the same though.
But it's like, you don't realize you have a problem. I don't think so, because it's almost funny. Like
it's more socially acceptable.
Yeah, than getting drunk and
it's
getting in a fight.
It's not going to kill me overnight.
Yeah.
But the alcoholism that is very similar in regards to, this is like slow suicide. This is taking time. It's going to kill me, but it's taking time. And that's a very ungodly act when I start participating in behavior that is slowly taking me out. That's not what I'm here to do.
So 17, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Oh, fuck, I should be doing this. So you kind of had like a shred of guilt or shred of enlightenment?
Yes, definitely.
Do you feel like it was enlightenment?
It was like inner being kind of tugging on me. Like, hey, remember us? Like, remember you have a soul? Like you're heading down this.
Did your parents know you?
Oh yeah. I'm a lot of things, Jason, but I am not sneaky. I just have never been sneaky. I was always fall down drunk. Like I didn't drink to have a little bit and to catch a buzz. I drank to get wasted.
And your parents knew, your family knew, your dad had dealt with.
My dad had 2 siblings who were both alcoholic.
So he had seen this before.
He knew what was going on, and one of them died, 16 years old, in a drunk motorcycle crash. He crashed into the back of a flatbed truck without any reflectors. He died instantly. My dad was 8 years old, and that brother was participating in very alcoholic, destructive behavior and was the tornado ripping through the family at that point in his life. And a week before that happened, my dad recounts, he says, I told him, I wish you were dead.
So
because he was so painful to be around. And then the next week he died. And my dad carried a lot of guilt because of that. But my dad was the only one that had good boundaries with me in regards to my drunkenness.
Because he had gone deep in there, got the she-shirt.
Yeah. Knew how to go through it with his brothers. He would call the cops when I was on his property. The vibration, the statement, the boundary is, I love you, but you cannot do this here. This is not my shit to deal with.
Yeah.
You go deal with this shit. I love you, but you cannot do this here.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
You cannot destroy my environment.
Yeah. That I built. Yeah. Because of your.
Yes.
It's like anything. I mean,
he's the only one that was able to
because it's almost, it's like the Trojan horse. Yeah. The addiction is like it's like, here, look at this. Here's Duane. Oh, I love you, my son.
It's an offering to the gods.
And then you come in the house, and the next thing you know, all the army comes out.
And the place is burning down.
Yeah.
Let Troy burn.
That's why you cannot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you cannot allow
that
analogy. Addiction around.
That's a great analogy. And in reality, you enable the addiction. You keep the individual in their active alcoholism because you're not allowing them to suffer the consequences, to learn the lessons they need to learn in order to change. It's so hard, bro, because sometimes that requires death.
Yeah.
How is the parent going to say, go kill yourself?
Yeah, the buffering is what you want to do as a parent. You don't want them to fall and,
of course,
cut themselves or fall and, you've done that since they were a little child. You don't want them touching the hot stove or putting their finger in the light socket. You don't want any of those things to happen to your child. So I get that. I mean, that's awesome. So 17, you see that realization, then 18, 19, 20, what's still just fucking going ham? You're a ski instructor, right?
I went as hard as I could go.
Even then, was there moments, because I know you had like hurt yourself multiple times and woke up. Was there moments in any of that at the ski lodge where you're like, holy fuck, I'm out of control?
There were a lot of moments like that.
So you'd wake up the next morning and be like, oh shit, I fucked up. How did you feel in the morning?
I would wake up with blood on me and I didn't know whose it was. And they're like, that's your blood, Duane. You lost that fight last night. You weren't even standing. Anyways, those type of consequences started happening more and more. And so there were a lot of incidences in regards to my progression. My progression was very quick. I nearly killed myself with alcoholism in 8 years. My body couldn't take any more. It was starting to shut down, and I was showing up in hospital pretty frequently. And that's where I go. That's where my drinking takes me. I don't know how to have a little bit. I'm not interested in having a little bit. So absolute abstinence is the solution for me. And those consequences really started hitting me hard. 18 years old, senior in high school, I had to go to my football coach and tell him I had to miss the first game of the season because I had a concussion. I said, why you got a concussion? I said, well, I got hit over the head with a Patron bottle at a house party last week. And the doctor said, I can't play. And that's like just one example of the type of consequences I was experiencing as a result of my selfish, destructive behavior. I went to rehab for a whole month my senior year of high school. My mom, the wonderful enabler that she is, did my homework so I didn't drop out. I was not ready to stop drinking. I just said, yeah, I'll go on a little month vacation. No problem. I was high 4 days later. The kids at school were like, man, we didn't know Duane was so sick. He really got sick bad. He missed a whole month. They had no idea how sick I was.
And it was a problem, and you recognized the problem, but the addiction was bigger than the problem.
The progression happened so fast for me that it was like I was being drugged.
When did you really start seeing that it was like, when did you gain clarity where your higher self or your self-awareness began to like, fuck, this is a problem. Like I'm fucking my life up.
I knew then. I knew when I was 18 before I went to treatment. I was hanging out in a house I should not have been hanging out in. There were more substances there than I should have ever been around. And I knew that I was killing my soul. And I knew that I needed help. I just didn't know how to ask for it. So my parents intervened. They sent me to rehab. And these rehabs actually, they would put us in these white vans. Like we called them the druggy buggies. And they would drive us around. And we got put into different meetings around town. And whatever was taking place in these meetings, a seed was planted inside of me.
You think at that age?
I know for a fact.
You think that there was a seed implanted?
There was a seed planted when I started.
I think
going
that's really,
to these
really
meetings.
important because a lot of people, because you may have not acted like there was a seed implanted.
No, I was pissed to be there.
Yeah, but there was a seed implanted.
I heard and saw people who drank just like me and experienced things just like me. And they were cracking up about it. They had experienced that alchemical transformation that takes place in recovery and these horrific things that I had been through that I was never going to tell anyone about. They were laughing about it. And they were telling the same type of stories.
I like that, yeah.
You remember when you passed out drunk and I had to carry you like a suitcase from your belt and your pants ripped and you walked around the next day with ripped pants? It's like, I'm not telling anybody that. And did you know that I pissed myself till I was 19 years old? Yeah. I would always wake up wet. Only alcoholics understand that joke.
Exactly.
Normal people don't get that shit.
Right.
So I saw a room full of crazy people just like me, but I believed that they were staying sober.
That's so wild to think that even though you're young, because you think an 18-year-old, like whatever, an 18-year-old kid, and maybe there's an 18-year-old kid listening to this.
Absolutely, there probably is.
And you're like, fuck this, fuck that. I'll just have a drink tonight. I'll do some drugs, whatever. But you still go to the meeting and there's still a receptiveness there. Because you think the antenna would be totally pushed down. Like there would be no reception, no ability to be able to vibrate.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, even as
you see what I'm saying?
Conscious or as forefront my ego, doesn't matter how forefront the ego is, the part of me that was ready to listen was still listening.
Yeah, we had this is really interesting because we had a comment and I disagree with the comment and I haven't wrote back to the comment yet because we'll probably end up doing a show on it and we've talked about this. But this comment said, yeah, meetings are good for when you're first starting out. And I'm like, well, you still go to meetings 13 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would there be a point where you wouldn't go to meetings? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could decide that in the future, but it's like, I don't think you can handle it. I don't think that's a right comment just in the beginning, going to meetings and then you're done. You know what I mean?
It sounds like an inexperienced comment. And basically, maybe the individual has a lot of time, but maybe they don't have the richness of a community around them either.
Yeah. Or maybe you went to the wrong meeting.
Do you know how, yeah, sure, that you had a bad experience. Maybe you didn't go to the right one.
Yeah,
do you know how beautiful it is to show up in a place and say, I'm going to be here to offer to this group. I'm not going to be here to see what the group has to offer me. You continue to go because now I owe a debt that was so freely given to me. I received recovery for free.
Yeah, that's good. But this is interesting because the antennas are up, halfway up, whatever. You're listening, you're receiving. That vibration's getting through to you at 18.
Yes.
You're like, well, it's still not strong enough.
No, I
kind of got a glimpse.
I drank for another 3 years.
Yeah.
After I left.
So it's another 3 years, you're fucking going crazy ham still. And then 3 years later, you're wind up in the ditch, all that. We've heard that story. Is that when you were like, oh, fuck, I have a problem?
I knew for a long time I had a problem. That was when I was like, now I know what to do. Now I know where to go.
Do you think it was from the meetings when you were 18?
That was
3 years later?
Seed that was planted. And it took time to grow inside of me, but I knew exactly where to go.
But you had a problem. You just didn't know how to handle the problem.
No, I didn't have tools. I didn't have the appropriate tools to deal with the problem. Not at all. Well, and I didn't know that what I had either. I didn't know I had this thing called alcoholism. I just thought I was crazy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're just a wild party.
I had to receive the education on what I actually had, what it meant to be that, and then be shown the way back into the light.
I'm just crazy. I like to drink a lot. I'm just fucked.
Yeah, get the fuck out of my way. Yeah, exactly. It's who I am.
Yeah, I get that. And do you feel like when you're 21, 22, whatever it is, and you have this realization, this awakening, and you start going to meetings, do the meetings reveal the problem? Like as you're listening to stories and stuff, you're like, yeah, I agree with that one. I agree with that one. Or do you feel like the problem presented itself more clearly because of the work that you were doing?
I think both were happening at the same time. I think
because you were having humility then.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I didn't know it then, but sure. Yes. I was practicing humility just by showing up. But I got beaten into submission. I got beaten into listening. I was actually willing to hear the solution.
That's where I was getting at.
Instead of say, never did that. Nope. He's a tall bearded man. I'm not like that. Nope. Oh, nope. I was not like that. I never lived under a bridge. I'm not an alcoholic. Nope. Instead of looking for the differences, I started looking for the similarities.
So willing to hear the solution.
I became willing to hear the solution. I became willing to do whatever it takes not to die drunk.
And that's only on you. There's nothing that a parent can do. There's nothing that a brother can do. There's nothing that anybody can do. you have to come to that conclusion that I'm willing to hear this message.
It's called the gift of desperation. And my mom, who I love dearly, told me, Duane, you can live here, but you can't drink. When you drink, you're a maniac. You terrorize the house, and you can't live here. I wanted to be in that house. I wanted a roof over my head. I didn't want to be in my car. And so I said, okay, I won't drink. And I meant it with my heart. I got drunk.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend. And she said, Duane, I love you. I want to be with you. You're a great partner, but when you drink, you're insane. And I don't want to be with that type of person. So if you drink, you can't be with me. I said, okay. And I meant it with my heart. When I said I wouldn't drink, I meant it. I got drunk anyways. I had a job. And the job said, Duane, we like you. You really got some good work ethic. When you show up, you do what you're supposed to do, and we like you. But when you drink, you don't freaking show up. You cannot drink and keep this job, or we'll fire you if you drink again. I said, okay. And I meant it. I needed the job. I needed to pay bills. And I got drunk. I didn't know that I had this thing called addiction. I didn't know I had this thing called alcoholism. I didn't know I had this thing that says inside of me, I'm going to drink whether I want to or not. So I had gone down the rabbit hole with my addictive progression to no longer be able to say no.
So if you're at that point, and we need to close, but if you're at that point right now and you're listening to this, and I want you to close this out, Duane, but you're like, it's progressed to the point. There's a person just like you, when you're early 20s, that's progressed to the point of like, yeah, it's bad. I can't hold a girlfriend, can't hold a job. My family doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Like, list goes on and on of me being a bad person. What do you feel like a simple thing or a couple simple things that they can do to at least kind of tip it maybe a little bit in their favor that doesn't require anything drastic? Or is there anything that they can do? Or do they got to do something fucking drastic? Like, where does this go?
It's a big loaded question, bro. The realization that I'm fucked is very important.
That's number one. Realize that you're fucked.
I'm fucked. I'm going to drink whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to use whether I want to or not. And in reality, I've been using for a long time and have not wanted to. I'm fucked. So that's number one, is an admission to being screwed. I can't do this on my own. Number two might sound something like, God, I need your fucking help right now. That might be the best, simple Hail Mary prayer that we can throw.
And don't pray at once. You may have to pray this 1,000 times in
10,000.
3 hours.
Yeah. 10,000 times.
Or
yes,
10,000
yes,
times.
yes, exactly. 1,000
You may
times
just be
in
like, God,
an
I
hour.
need your help. God, I need your help.
God, I need your help.
Yeah.
Universe, I don't know what the fuck you are or who I'm talking to, but I need some help right now. And you might just be surprised at what comes into your life. It might be interesting to get the email about this meeting, or you might see a bulletin board at the Albertsons that says this support group. You might just be amazed at what comes into your life when you start tapping into something bigger than yourself for help. God, I need some fucking help right now. And then that evolution is a progression in itself. That grows too. Just like my alcoholism, just like my destructive behavior grew, so can my recovery. So can my contribution to life. So can my existence. I want an existence that's worthwhile, and recovery gave that to me.
I love that. So, I mean, for everyone that's out there that's listening to this, those two things right there, that's a great start.
Absolutely.
Just keep it simple, stupid. We're all stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
And let's start with those two things, and then we can go from there.
And the individual should do it because the individual is worth it.
Oh, always.